This is more of a serious video. Um, if you're from the community that I'm from, I'm sure some of you have heard a background. This is more of a here's the mistakes I made, and hopefully you can do better. This is for the greater internet, for anyone else who's struggling, and for someone who did some bad things because of their past. Maybe hearing my story will motivate you to be different, or if you're in a stage where you're in a dark place but you still have everything good around you, maybe you can turn yourself around. Maybe you can turn yourself around and try to get help before I did. I've been seeing a lot of these videos on YouTube where people talk about their stories about how they're a loser. I want to talk about how this year started off so beautifully, and now I don't know if I'm making 2026. I guess I'll start from my background. I pretty much have been a guy who really didn't belong anywhere. I was pretty much unwanted from my family. Expectations of I come from a Muslim background, and the expectation is always when you're a Muslim, there's so much expectations oh, how come you're not doing so and so like this, so and so. Oh, this person, awards, they get awards. How come you don't? I was pretty average to below average in school. And since my family comes from a Muslim background, the expectation was you have to be better, you have to get this going, you have to, the expectation was pretty much oh, you have to be an A student, and I never was. I went to Sunday school and I didn't feel like I belonged. Muslim school every Sunday, go to the mosque. I didn't fit there, but I would do it for a couple of years because, not really my choice, it's for my family. And I would always try to impress them. Never really worked out. I was always compared to other children. And I was really ostracized. I wasn't really welcomed within my Muslim community by around late middle school. I was pretty much ostracized and not welcome within my Muslim community. I just never really belonged. There, I was not as intelligent as them. I was never really part of it. And high school came around. I had these couple friends, still have them to this day. They made me feel welcomed, but some of my fond memories with them were playing Call of Duty and Minecraft back in the day. In high school, I feel and they would always make me we had a high school clique, and they dragged me around for it to make me feel welcome, which I really do appreciate and still appreciate to this day. I got to go to a prom with them. I got to be a part of that homecoming, stuff I never really thought, because I'm pretty much a loser. I see myself as a loser, and I remember senior year of high school, I was never, I tried applying to a bunch of colleges. I would just keep getting denied. And my family's coming from poverty, so everything would be coming out of my pocket pretty much. And my family were not supportive of me pretty much by high school. I was on my own in terms of supporting myself. And pretty much didn't get into college. I didn't get into any universities while my two childhood friends did. And, high school came and went. I graduated. But I had nothing pretty much going on. I had to start from scratch. I had no prospects at all after graduating high school. I didn't know how to drive. I didn't have a car. I had $0 to my name. I was broke. I lived in poverty. My friends pretty much would front me for a lot of things, like, oh, you want to hang out, let's go get food, all food's on me. Oh, you want to go to prom, I'm covering your prom, I don't have money. And they're like, oh, we'll take care of you, we have money. And I was really appreciative of that. I started making I started from scratch in 2019. I had to put myself and get a job at a gas station. Grinded my way up there. Bought my first car, learned how to drive. Excuse me, I want some water. Thank you. And pretty much got my way through high school, and sorry if the word flows bad. We were talking about post high school, yeah. So plan was that first year was to just grind up money, and no education, just got a gas station job, worked overtime, insane hours, put in a lot of manual labor work, and I would continue that moving on. For that first year, it was really, 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 that was probably one of the worst. I thought that would be the worst year of my life, but that would be this year. 2019, I had a lot of domestic family problems. My mom was really mentally ill, and she started becoming really abusive in high school years, but it was always like a Muslim culture thing of like, oh, we're proud of our family, we can't like get help, we have to like, it's just like a Islamic thing of like, oh, we can't get help, we can't do anything. Like my dad would not want to get help for her, until the point where it was way too late, where she started, she would start fake abusing herself, and my dad got thrown into jail. Like, she would give herself abuse marks, and it got really bad. I have 3 other siblings who, they were young. One's barely starting elementary school, one's in elementary school, and then the other one's in middle school. Yeah, and that year I pretty much had to lock in and grind and take care of my siblings, and also make sure to secure my future so I didn't have to stay in an abusive household. And I'm not gonna talk about this too much, I'm just giving you some context that, yeah, my mom got thrown into a mental ward for a couple of years after this point. My dad wasn't really proud of me growing up, and even during this situation, he was never really proud of me. Again, the expectations were always like, oh, you have to be smarter, and I was not smart. Like, here I am, not like being in college and working at a gas station instead. But I made a lot of money, and I was able to move out, and those 2 childhood friends I had mentioned earlier, they offered me to live off campus with them for their sophomore year. This was 2019 to 2020. and I was pretty excited. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I wanna be part of that. And so that was my goal the first year is to I bought myself a car. I learned how to drive. I bought a car in cash, so I didn't have to do anything. And I lived with my friends, and that first year was really awesome. I continued my gas station job, um, and I got to do the things I wanted to do as a kid, but with no more strict family behind me. I was able to be out with my friends, live that college life. Even though I wasn't in college, but we lived on the college campus, like near the college campus. It was off campus though, so that's why I was able to stay there. But it was really fun. I got to do a lot of cool things. Um, it was really cool, and I kept making money and saving money. I kept building up that bank account. I would only, spend what's. I would be very financially responsible. I would treat my friends a lot for all the times that they treated me in high school. I wanted to treat them, give back to what they were doing for me. Um, and yeah, and then the next year it got even better. Financially was doing even better. I got a brand new job, a very blessed job where I started making upwards of, um, for a 21, 22 year old, I started at 22 an hour with a banking job for a home mortgage company. Um, or I'm sorry, I worked for a bank in the home mortgage division, and I made so much money for what my age was, and I kept saving money, and I would keep with the childhood friends, except that we were not living on campus or in that apartment complex anymore at this point because they went to go live with their girlfriends, and that is obviously the next step of life, right? I didn't have a girlfriend; those two did, and I was like, okay, well, I will find my own place to live and live by myself. And I found one place. This was in 2022, um, and I lived at this apartment complex. It was fairly cheap rent, for one place. It just didn't have a washer and dryer, which is whatever. Um, in that year, I was pretty isolated. I would just be by myself. I would continue to hang out with the childhood friends, but I feel like at this point, this is where we started slowing down a bit. Um, and I don't think it was anyone's fault. It was just more so life direction. Um, and by the end of year, I wouldn't say anything eventful happened that time in that small apartment complex. I kept saving money. I kept working for the bank job. I got a raise. I got a promotion, and I just kept making money. It was a really good time. Um, by this point, as a 22-year-old, I had zero debt, an 800 credit score, a paid off car with about $40,000 in my account. Um, I learned how to cook this year because during COVID, that's when they started increasing not gas prices, like prices in general. And one of my friends, before he had moved out, he gave me like the building blocks of like cooking and how to cook. And that year, I just spent all my time like learning new recipes, and um, I was feeling pretty lonely. At this time, I had a relationship. Um, it was only about 5 months, but the relationship meant a lot to me. Um, I hope she's doing well. Um, but other than that, life was still looking really good. I was making a lot of money. I had two good friends that I still stayed in touch with. We pretty much started playing one game, CS2. Um, and I started watching um, a YouTuber who really likes Pokemon. Pokemon was always like my thing growing up. It was I know so much about Pokemon, and but I never really felt like I had a sense of belonging throughout high school when I grew up, or even with those two friends. It always just felt like I was an extension. After a while, like after high school, after that, after we moved out from that apartment complex, I feel like that was like the peak, and then I started just feeling like an extension. Like we have a group chat, but only time is talked in there is like when they're asking me to like if do you want to hop on a game, like those two pretty much are tight, whereas like they're still tight with me, like they've done a lot for me, but like it's just our interests would not align. Like they're more into sports, they're more into sports gambling, they're more into CS. I was like more like TV show centric. I like playing other video games. Sorry. For example, I love Pokemon, and by the late 2022, I had discovered this YouTuber who really sparked my love and interest for Pokemon again. And this is where my prime begins, I would say. I rekindled with an old friend I used to play COD Zombies with. I just saw him on Discord. He was streaming on Twitch. Um, and I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. I haven't seen you in like several years. I just knew him as like somebody who I used to play COD Zombies with in high school. He was just an online friend. And I rekindled, I went to his stream and I started chatting there. And this part is where we're gonna get to the meat and potatoes. This is like my peak favorite times. He was just starting off streaming. One viewer Andy type shit, first stream, and I was like, oh my god, this is really cool. Like it was nice to catch up with him. After he ended stream, we started talking in Discord DMs. We were like, oh hey, that's really cool. Then we started like catching up, like how life's been since, it had been about from that time period. It had been about 4 years since we had last spoke, and it was awesome. It was really really cool to catch up with him, and he was really like into his streaming thing, and I was like, hey, I would love to be a part of this. I would love to like help you grow, and he was like, yeah, let's do it, let's game. And we would continue. He was doing like a certain Pokemon challenge where you're like going, just collecting the living dex, pretty much like just trying to catch all Pokemon, like completing the Pokedex. It was really cool. And we eventually met within, I would say, a couple weeks of us catching up. We met another fellow, brand new streamer, just starting out type stuff. And we started. We thought it was really cool. We thought his streams were really cool. So he messaged him, my other friend, and the online friend, and we started networking. Like, oh hey, we should collab. You two should collab. I was like, oh, you two should definitely do a collab stream, and they eventually, after a nice talking within each other, they did a collab stream. I was on it. We got drunk and did Jackbox games. It was such a fun night. We had a deep talk between us three, and I tell you that started a very, very, very magical friendship. I started streaming myself. Again, if you're from my, the community, the Pokemon community, sure you know. And I started streaming myself, and the networking just grew and grew and grew. I would be there for both of them. I loved being their helper. I felt like I had a sense of purpose. And the more and more people we met, we kept growing. I'm going to skip a couple years here. Or not a couple, but just, throughout 2022. 2023 is when I really put my name on the map by doing something phenomenal. Within the Pokemon standards, not really like phenomenal in real life, but like within the community standards, I had put myself on the map pretty much. And I feel like I had a lot of peak. Not peak. I felt like I was hitting my stride. I started growing a community, and I started growing friendships. Lots and lots and lots of friendships. But we three were always the tight. Friends came and go, but us three, we were tight since our roots in 2022. To the point in July of 2023, first time ever for me to do something like this. We met up just from our internet conversations. We traveled to Boston where my friend lived, and we had that was my first time like traveling. Like, as I mentioned, like in my past, I never really got to do stuff like that. But with this job that I had, that I've been saving so much money, a trip like that was nothing, and I was making so much money, and it just felt really cool to do. And that trip, oh my god, that will always be in my heart. That weekend was amazing. I was so blessed, and we just became really, really good friends after that. We became very strong blood bond type friends. And during this time, another person who was important to my life, he was in the community that I'm from. He was pretty much known as like an online shit poster, edgy shit poster, those types, right? They just go in there and but he took a liking to me. We started having deep conversations, and I told him about my past, just like I'm telling y'all about, family issues and stuff. And he had a psychiatrist background, and I was really like, wow, you're a really cool person beyond the shit posting. He was probably one of the most realist people I had met in the scene. Outside of course, those two friends from the online space that I was telling you about, that I went to the trip for. I'm trying not to use names because I don't want them to stumble upon this video like, oh hey, you're talking, like, I don't want their names out, like, to protect their privacy. Yeah. Anyway, he became very close to me, and then my two other friends, like, he would talk to us a lot. He's from Brazil. He would be there he became a father figure when growing up. I did not have one. And I became very, very attached. After my incident with my family and my childhood trauma, I was left with a bunch of anxious attachments and abandonment issues, to where if I truly love you and have feelings for you, I have such a hard time letting go. And everything was sunshine and rainbows in 2023 and 2024. I got into another relationship in 2024 IRL. That also fell apart, unfortunately. She was using me for she told me that she didn't actually care about me as a person, and that she just enjoyed sex. That was a really low blow, because I really enjoyed talking to her and stuff. But in 2023 and 2024 life, oh my god, I think 2024 probably one of the best years of my life. By this point in 2024, I had built enough networking and friendships to where um, I was invited to PAX and TwitchCon, and that first PAX, oh my god, it was so much fun. I met so many people, and I was happy. I was in the stride of my life, and I kept growing. There was the newest Pokemon game that everyone was playing at that time. It really got me a lot of attention, and as someone who did not get attention as a kid, it really, really felt good to feel like loved. Um, and then on top of that, I just had such a supportive friend group. On top of that, like, I still had the two friends, were very tight. We did everything, like, in our friend group, in our social circle, we three were like known as like the dynamic trio. And life was looking so well after that, and then life continued to go well. We had another meetup, a TwitchCon in September 2024. Um, I skipped one of my favorite trips actually. Before a month before TwitchCon, me and the two friends, and then another friend that was part of one of the first people I met in 2022 when I started the Pokemon scene streaming. We went to a trip in Chicago, and these other two people that we had met in PAX in March had messaged me saying, hey, we heard that, you're going to be in Chicago. We're not that far. Like, would you want to hang out that night? And I tell, my friend who lives in Chicago, like, hey, do you want to, meet up with these people? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm hella down. And that Chicago trip that was the best trip of my life. I have so much memories on my phone about that trip. It was me, the two besties, and then another bestie that he's a really, really good guy. Again, I just don't want to. I know I just keep saying this friend, but I just want to, like, I don't want to name drop people in case people from my Pokemon community drop in, and you know I want to be appropriate. But us four, God, that it was my first time in Chicago, and it was such a great trip. I got to go to the Renaissance Fair with them. I got to go to this amazing barcade. We got a hotel in downtown Chicago. I got to travel. I got to do so much. I treated them. I remember working overtime, so I can go treat them to. Some of them have never done. One of my favorite things is a Brazilian steakhouse. If anyone's ever done that, and I love Brazilian steakhouse, but a couple of them have never done it. So I put myself in overtime at work, and yeah, it was a good time. I treated them to a Brazilian steakhouse. I felt so good to give them that much love, and I yeah, it was a really good trip. And those two girls that we had met up with one night in Chicago, we really clicked. We were laughing, and we did green tea shots. I'm sure if you dug through my Twitter, I used to love making vacation montage edits because those vacations just changed my life, and I really loved them. I made one for Chicago. It was such a fun time. God. And then a month later, TwitchCon happened. TwitchCon was also such a phenomenal time. First time in San Diego, exploring San Diego. I feel like, how people say you barely put a dent in it? I feel like we barely put a dent into the dent when it came to exploring San Diego. The moments were awesome. It was God. It was such a fun time. And unfortunate news came out about it recently, which I don't want to talk about it here because it's not my story and it's not about me. But I'm I hate that occurred. But we're gonna focus on what the good parts, and the good parts is the actual convention was really fun. Those two girls that I told you about that we hung out in Chicago. I remember my two friends. We'll call them D and P. They were, best friends since they're from my big Chicago homie group. They went to go find Amaranth, and I was like, I don't really care to find Amaranth. So I know the two other girls were like hanging out, and I was like, let's go hang out with them. I want to go hang out with them. So I texted them, and I was like, oh, where you guys at? And they were like, oh, we're at the Artist Valley. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's go. I'll go hang out with them for a bit. And God, that walk through Artist Valley with them, that was really cool. I picked up a poster for another one of my friends at an Airbnb. That he was really into Dragonite, and I saw a Dragonite poster, and I was like, oh, I gotta get that for him. It was really nice. And coming home from that trip, just all the love and all the memories, just life kept getting good. Life was keep going good. And this is where the self-destruction begins. In October 2024, back to my mom being in the psych ward, I was really holding on to like, oh, she's gonna get better and we're gonna be part of a family again. And unfortunately, fortunately she was released of good bill and health from the psych ward. But I got in contact with her, and she wanted nothing to do with me. Just nothing. She said that, oh, it's your fault that you're in here. You're such a disappointment. And on top of that, I want money for my time of compensation to you. Of, like, oh, I put diapers on you. I put you in school. Like, you are a waste of investment. I need you to just give me I needed compensation. And that started like a whole manhunt between me and my family, my extended family. I was defeated, pretty much. My motivation for me to exist for me pretty much faded after that. It was not looking good for me in the mental. I was pretty defeated and devastated by that. I was left with no choice. I had to cut everyone off, and no one it was really sad because I felt I always wanted to be part of a family. I wanted to be a part of a family, and my abandonment issues flared the fuck up after this. I was traumatized again by all this. I thought I'd beaten all of it, but I was re-traumatized. And oh my goodness, dude. I just hate this because I was re-traumatized, but I was surrounded by these great people who the two people I had met since 2022, they were right there, right by my back, like, hey, keep us in the loop. We love you. We care about you. The two girls that I had just met in Chicago, they were like, oh, we're here for you. Like, we just met. Like, we're here for you. And then just a bunch of other people. The Brazilian psychiatrist friend, he was there. And then God, how have I not mentioned him? I feel bad. Another friend that I somehow found through Twitch streaming. He lived within 2 minutes of where I moved to in 2020, late 2022. And I was like, that was a pure coincidence. We just found each other through Twitch streaming. And it was looking life was looking really, really, really good. He was a good friend that we hung out constantly throughout 2024. Because we lived so close, we would go out and grab lunch and stuff. He was a really, really, really good friend. Still is a good friend. Everybody I have mentioned was a good person to me. Everybody. And saying that they are a good person is a heavy, heavy understatement. They were exceptional, phenomenal, upstanding, S plus 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 tier people. Unfortunately, after this whole family trauma incident, I was left really fucked up, and I slowly started losing myself. But I felt like, oh, I have all these good people behind me. I'm gonna be okay. And I wish I had started getting help sooner, because the path I go down starts very, very destructive for me. So around last year, November 2024, a couple weeks after all this goes down, I felt like I had no meaning, like my voice had no meaning, because one of the last conversations I had with my father was, oh, your voice will never mean anything to anyone. And I was having a bad night. I had logged into one of these discords that and there's always like a bit of a dick riding competition when it comes to Pokemon Nuzlocke, where it's like, oh yeah, I beat this without using all these rules, and that's all for fun and games, right? Like, no one's actually that serious. Criticism is allowed, but at the time where I felt like, oh, I needed a purpose, I saw something completely like out of context, and I took it to Twitter, and I used my platform to basically attack this Discord, like, oh, we can't allow this type of. And at the time, there was a post before this that really sparked up a lot, that gatekeeping and nuzlocking and all that. My post was really, really stupid. The message is good, but the way I handled it was so bad. It alienated a good fraction of my people, but still majority on my side type shit. But I lost a good fraction of people after that, and I just went to Twitter like, oh, we can't do this, we can't talk like this is a bad precedent, blah, 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 blah. And I showed these screenshots that were just completely out of context, oh, I hate. And I thought I was right for so long, but it took me through therapy to yeah, that was building self-destruction number one, but still pretty much overall came out of it good. Yeah, I am I had a lot of people back me up on this. No one really pretty much said that, oh, you're in the wrong for posting that tweet. My Brazilian friend, my psychiatrist friend, said that oh, good message, but what a waste of time. No, people are always going to be like that. Don't, why does it matter? He did say that. Which is, in hindsight, yeah. But I was just so focused on oh, I need a purpose. and I felt like I needed to do that. And yeah. So then, overall nothing bad happened from that. Just, I lost a portion of support from a certain section, but overall I was still surrounded by love and family. Like that, it didn't really matter that much, but I would still count that as self-destruction number one after being in therapy, building block one. And then I got all my closest friends presents. It's always a tradition of mine to be very heavy on the gift giving because I don't feel like I'm not intelligent. I don't feel like I bring a lot to the table when it comes to friendships other than like being a listener or like being fun to hang around with and like gift giver. Those are my things. And I got a bunch of people presents and wrote meaningful letters to people. It was really, really nice, and I really, really enjoyed the end of 2024. God, last year ended off so well, and I just can't believe where I'm at now. Oh my goodness. And then at the end of last year, we had discussed between me and my two OG online friends that like, oh well, February's coming up, and me and our other friend in the trio, we both have February birthdays within a week of each other. We're like, oh, what if we plan a little birthday vacation? And they're like, oh, well, why don't we come to San Antonio? And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. Let me invite. Like that means that homeboy who lives right here can come. And we were like, yeah, that sounds great. I invited the two girls because I started becoming really close with them after TwitchCon, and then especially how supportive they were with my family and stuff. I started getting really, really close with both of them. So I was like, oh, let me invite them. And January went phenomenal. Lots of hangs and all that. Virtual hangs, of course. But at this point in time, I stopped focusing on my real life. After the family stuff, I purely locked into my online life. And that starts the downfall of what takes place at the end of this year. I started becoming sensitive to everything, and yeah. Slowly. But yeah, no, the February trip came. It was probably that had to have been. I know I said the Chicago trip was probably my favorite, but that was the best birthday weekend. We did a collaborative stream. All of them in the back. They got me a surprise birthday cake. Me and the other friend. Completely unscripted. It was really, really nice, and we went to the zoo. We had so many like inside jokes created from that weekend. So many pictures. So many meaningful conversations. And it was also the first time I was ever really in charge of a vacation. I'm typically like the puppy dog, where like as long as you give me the stick, I'll go wherever you want. But I was given control. And it felt really good to be in control and for it to actually go well. The night was the trip went phenomenal. Everybody loved the trip. Everybody told me I did such a good job, and everybody was happy, and I felt good. And I thought that this was going to be the start of something good, because I was really fixated on building a family, building a sense of belonging, building a sense of love. Like I wanted to build a family, pretty much. Like I have finally found a place where I belonged, where people found me funny, where people loved me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to build I'm gonna build a family out of this. And then self-destruction number two hit. That Brazilian friend, um, he's gone. He's not in the Pokemon community. He pretty much just pieced out. No one knows what happened to him. He's gone. He is just genuinely gone. So I'm okay with using him a little bit because he's just genuinely off the internet. I like I said, he was like a father figure to me. I always went for him for conversational, deep emotional talks, like a father would. We would text each other like every day, constantly, like good morning and all that. Like it was random jokes throughout the day to make each other laugh. Like it was something good. It was really really nice. And he messaged me pretty much. I had noticed throughout the beginning of the year that he became stagnant on texting me, and whenever I text him, he'd be pretty dry. But like during the trip when my two other homeboys were here, um, he would text them, and like, oh, did you see what someone he said? I'm like, wait, he's texting you? I thought he like, I haven't really heard much from him. So I confronted him about it, and he said that pretty much that he started feeling forced, and he didn't feel the connection anymore like he used to. And you know, it's like people come and go, right? But at a time where I was already feeling like abandonment issues from my family, he ripped my heart with what he said, because I still viewed him as a father. I still viewed him as, you know, everything like what I said. He was everything to me. And for him to say those things, it really, really hurt. He sent a big, long text message about it, and I just broke down. I thought that he would be in my life for a good portion of time. It really just sucks that's what happened. And he just disappeared shortly after that, a couple weeks later, from everybody. So at least I got a goodbye, but he just straight up just left everyone. Because he wasn't just friends with me, right? He was friends with everybody, but it really, really hurt me. And it hurt a lot of other people. But we're just talking about me today. It really, really fucked me up. And I miss him a lot. I wish he was still here, because he was the catalyst for what happened. After October, I started therapy, and I started hearing a voice of self-doubt. Like I said, I was not living for me. I was living for these friends who gave me a sense of belonging, a sense of love, a sense of purpose. And after that, I started hearing a voice, a very, very ugly voice of doubt for myself, doubt for me, and my anxious attachments rose the fuck up, and my abandonment issues rose the fuck up. This guy started talking to me. And I'm not bullshitting. You talk to my therapist. He talks to me when I'm alone by myself. And you slowly started to ruin my life. He had what I thought at the time was just me overthinking, was just a whole other personality that pretty much is just out for my self-destruction. At this point in time, I started the four friends that were the 5 friends who were part of my February trip, I started getting extraordinarily close to them and started hyper fixating on every micro movement that they would do because I was afraid of being abandoned. Even the 2 friends who I've known since 2022, where we had done insanely brotherly bonds where they were never going to leave me, the girls were never going to leave me. My friend who just, who was literally a neighbor, he was never going to leave me, but I just kept having that mind tell me, oh no, he's going to leave, they're going to leave you, you have to test them. Oh my god, dude, and it ruined. Their patience was tested so much. And then also on top of that, I started letting the hating, quote unquote, it wasn't even that bad, dog, it was just banter. I saw some messages in that Discord that I called out about, and it really just, something in me snapped. I think this piece of shit won. He fucking won. He fucking won. He fucking won. And then he fucking made... I used my editing skills to make fucking screenshots of people saying things that were believable because the other ones were fucking real. It was at the end of April. I had just gotten back from a trip to see the 2 girls where they live. I hung out with them, and that was a really good trip. And my brain was like, oh, you gotta hold on to these friends. Like, oh, you could be replaced. Look at what happened with MK. And I just, oh my god, dude, oh my god. And then I just let the voice win, and the screenshots were made. And I gave it to them. I gave it to those 4. And I said, because there was another PAX coming up in May. And I was like, oh, I don't want them to meet these people. And like, oh, they're going to replace me and stuff from the Pokemon community. And like, oh, I can't let that happen. And then I showed it to them. And obviously they're very 100% fucking real. Like, they look fucking indescribably real because I use really good editing. And I hate myself for that. That night is the reason why I'm fucking in this fucking position. I just kept self-destructing. My nervous system was getting worse at this point. My therapist, I felt like I was going to therapy for nothing because I just felt like she wasn't helping. And then the May trip happened, and that was an extended trip. I was out there for 5 days, and it was so good. It was so good. Then I come back, and I just start breaking down emotionally, like, awfully. Because I just felt like I was existing to go on these vacations. I hated being by myself because I was stuck with hearing the voice. And it started coming to a point of like, oh, let's hang out in VC. Let me just ping my Discord. Let's see who hangs out in VC. Let's get it. I have to be with people. 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 Because I just didn't love myself. And I still don't love myself. Then the last domino piece, the second to last domino piece occurred on June 2nd. I was confronted about those screenshots because, people talk. I'm fucking stupid. I'm literally so fucking stupid. People talked about the screenshots like, it was nice to meet so-and-so, but I didn't like how they treated him because of the, oh, look at this screenshot. Like, oh, I never had this conversation. And I was confronted in a very respectful way. But at this point in time, I'm mentally gone. I am completely like a psychopath. And I'm a psychopath now. There's very little times where I have sane thoughts or anything. I was given every opportunity to come clean because they loved me. They loved me. They loved me. They really did. And I was so disrespectful. I was so disrespectful to the person who was hurt. I was to a person who didn't even do anything to me because I was afraid of losing something that was never going to be lost in the first place. And then, they're concerned, so they go to my pretty much my older brother friend from 2022 out of the trio of the homeboys, me, him, and the other friend. And he goes, "Hey, I don't care if you fake the screenshots. Like, can you just like be honest? Like, did you do it so that way, like we can try to find a way out of this?" And I would just keep self-destructing. No, I doubled down. No, why would I do this? Like, it's like a very manipulative thing. I used my trust. I let the voices win. And I made it so much worse on myself. Because I self-destructed that one day. I wonder if things would have been different. Even if I faked the screenshots and I was confronted. And then after that, the four closest people in my life who were family, the same people who celebrated my birthday with me earlier in the year, they were very, very disappointed with me. And two of them were the brotherly bond I've had since 2022. And they said they needed a couple days. My stupid paranoia ass shut down, nervous system shut down. If you're somebody with anxious attachment, abandonment issues, I'm sure you understand. Maybe I just completely suicidal thoughts entered my head. I would have a passive suicidal ideation since October 2024, but it was a lot light because I said that, I have a lot of friends who love me, and I'm going to stay with them. They started pouring back in after May, after the May trip, because I was just like, when's the next trip? I don't have like a sense of like goal. I don't want to be by myself, blah, blah, blah. And I started feeling suicidal at that point too. Now, it's not a good look when you're outed as a liar and manipulator to your closest friends who are also streamers in their own, and you advertise your whole brand around, oh wow, I love my friends. I love my friends. Like, that's how I'm known by that. I'm supportive of my friends, that I love them and I put them first. It's not a good look if they're hurt. And I saw the impact of my channel. My Discord numbers dropped, my follower numbers dropped. I started getting DMs from people about the screenshots, and then a couple of them, I started getting like unfollows on social media, and I just, oh my god, it just all became so much. And then this is a bit of a trigger warning, I made it so much worse. I could not stop self-destructing. The voices told me to just fucking... I attempted suicide, and I traumatized those four friends of mine. I'm not going to go into detail because it's graphic, but I attempted suicide, and I wanted to make sure that they knew it, and I sent a suicidal note. I had done what I did at around 3 a.m., and I felt myself passing out at around 11:30 a.m., so I sent what I did to them. They called the police. I got sent to a psych ward. This was June 4th. And everything since then has felt like a blur. I don't have anybody anymore. I only have those two childhood friends, pretty much, plus like 2 or 3 people from the Pokemon community, but I lost everything since then. And I had so many opportunities to get help. I could have walked out for a couple months. I've been in, as I said, ongoing therapy. I had group therapy. I was in rehab for a couple months, but unfortunately, I had to move many states away. I am now in a very sketchy part of Philadelphia, and it's not good for my mental health. I spend money constantly now. I don't care about saving. I've dropped so much money on just door dashing McDonald's from my bed. I'm I started a weight loss journey because of those two friends who uplifted me. Um, a year ago, I hit a lot of weight loss, and I feel like I've gained all that weight back. I stopped taking care of myself. All the friends who I've pretty much gained throughout the 3 years are gone. My reputation's gone. And I can't stop self-destructing. I get in a very dark headspace with the second personality who has pretty much taken over. I feel like he's the dominant personality, and I keep self-destructing. I don't know if I'm making 2026. I just wanted to make this video so that way I can share my embarrassment. I had so much potential. I had a second chance at life with this community, with this sense of belonging, where I felt like I finally belonged into something, with a group of people who really, really loved me, with people who really kept up with my patience and kept up with all my trauma. And they got rewarded with backstab and betrayal and a memory they shouldn't even have to held. I can't even imagine like what type of issues they've gotten because of what I did. And I kept making it worse after I got released from the psych ward. I sent mountains and mountains of messages like, oh no, please, please, because my abandonment issues. And and they're gone. They're all gone. The people I started off with, the community, they're gone. They're probably living their best lives. I had so much to lose from what I did. They're probably happy. They're gone. They don't have to deal with my ass anymore. I've let go of myself. I'm going to nightclubs and I'm doing substances. And then the second personality is just out to self-destruct me. I lost my second chance at life. I had so much potential, and it's all gone. I don't know if I can recover from here. I'm 25 years old. One of my friends would always tell me that's the age where the frontal lobe fully develops. So it's like, I don't know. At this point, a year ago, I literally had an entire group of friends who would have done anything for me and loved me. We used to do so much game nights. We used to plan trips. Now they're pretty much all gone. And it's all my fault. I lost everything. I lost my second chance. And I don't have a family. I don't have people I can go to. I rekindled with my sisters a couple months ago, but they're doing fine without me. They don't really... I'm glad that we're talking again, but they don't really need me around. I lost my sense of belonging. My phone a year ago would be very active. Nowadays it's dry. No one messaged me. I'm struggling. But I'm the bad guy. I did bad things. There's not really like a pill or anything. I don't believe in myself. I already had that self-hatred. I had that self-hatred before I lost all my friends. And now that I've lost people who I was going to grow old with, people who wanted me to come to their weddings with, they're never going to... I'm blocked now. I don't feel like I belong anywhere anymore. And these almost 6 months of just being away from everything has really reminded me of that past life of like before the Pokemon community that I don't really belong anywhere. I'm back hanging out with those childhood friends, but even when I'm with them, I just feel like an extension. I don't really have anything to contribute to their conversations. I'm just there to pass the time. I threw away. I'm making new friends here in Philadelphia, but it just feels like I'm an extension. It just feels like I'm just there to be there. I don't feel like my sense of belonging is gone again. And I can't stop self destructing. My insurance has cut me out from therapy and seeing my psychiatrist. I'm running low on pills. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't. I'm not saving money anymore. I just keep spending it on drugs, on door dashing food. I've stopped taking care of myself because I don't care what happens to me. I've become so dead. I don't know if I'm making it to 2026. We've made it to the we made it this far. If you're someone like me with anxious attachments or abandonment issues, you're a walking self-prophecy. I remember earlier this year, I was drunk at my birthday party, and I was telling all of them like, "Oh man, please don't block and ban me," as a joke. Like, oh, we all started laughing on the couch. Well, look at me now. And I and I think everyone thinks I'm a narcissist and a liar now, and I know I did a narcissist thing, and I did lie, but I'm not a liar and I'm not a narcissist. I behaved like a narcissist and I did behave like a liar. I did lie. I was I was scared of losing the people that I had after I lost the Brazilian friend. And my heart for hatred just kept growing after he left. And I look back at the person I was a year ago and I'm like, where is he? What happened to him? I don't even feel like I don't feel like I'm a good person. I don't believe in my redemption. I don't want to be around anymore. I lost everyone that made me feel happy. I was given opportunities I never had as a kid. I was given opportunities that I never had in my life. And I don't know how to stop self-destructing. He keeps talking to me. He pushed everyone away that loved me. People who... It's actually really impressive how I lost everything within a year. It's so... I'm gonna die alone. I was given the whole opportunity to rebuild myself, and I was on such a good path. And now I live in a small studio apartment. I have no motivation. I can't crack a smile. I can't laugh anymore. I gave my closest friends trust issues, I'm sure. I traumatized them. They believed in me. They thought I could do so much better. Oh my God. I hope something bad happens to me. I wanted to share this just in case I don't make it. For the internet to read or hear. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Do me a favor, grab your phone, text someone, not just text your friend, text a friend that is a family, pretty much family in your eyes. Tell them how much you love them. Tell them how much you're gonna be there for them and how you're never gonna hurt them. I didn't even realize how much I hurt my friends until a couple months later after a rehab. It took me 3 months to realize how much fucking pain I caused them. I lost my second chance at life and a sense of belonging and being cared for. I'm not gonna find that again. That was my you get second chances at life. You don't get a third chance. I don't care what happens to me. I genuinely just keep, and then whoever is left, I keep self-destructing and pushing them away because I feel like if the closest people in my life are gone, why should I build more? These new friends in my new state that I'm in, I'm scared of getting attached to them too. I feel nothing around them because I just feel like I'm gonna be an awful person around them. I think some people aren't meant for happy endings.